6 asylum seekers actually brought the case to court, describing that the barracks were unsafe, apparently. If you actually have a look at the picture at the top there.
Was this before or after they burnt them down?
You're spoiling my...
Sorry.
I was getting onto that.
Sorry, it's just like, yeah, it's unsafe. Yeah, so we're going to destroy it. I was like, yeah, okay, that'll make it safer. Sorry.
You've ruined it now.
Sorry, so I didn't know you were using it as a surprise.
But, yeah, I mean, obviously it's not luxury, but it is better, and if they truly are asylum seekers escaping war, you'd think that, okay, somewhere with walls and, you know, a perimeter fence would make them feel really safe. And especially considering it's in the middle of a pandemic and we're kind of at the point where really high numbers of people are coming across. I think the fact this is being used as like an overflow facility is not really that surprising. And the judge said about this ruling, which obviously he ruled against the use of this facility, he says, "I do not accept that the accommodation that there ensured a standard of living which was adequate for the health of the claimants. Insofar as the defendant considered that the accommodation was adequate for their needs, that view was irrational," he says. He says that the Home Office is irrational to use military barracks. They were supposed to live voluntarily pending a determination of their application for asylum. When this is considered a decision that accommodates in a detention-like setting a site enclosed by a perimeter fence topped with barbed wire, access to which is through a padlock gate guarded by uniformed security personnel will be adequate for their needs, begins to look questionable.
Sorry, that's his complaint?
Yeah. I mean, never mind that they tried to, you know, break in illegally to the UK in boats. Like, forgetting that, you know.
Sorry, so the problem with this whole place is they had to go through a gate?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the facilities aren't exactly amazing, but it's habitable at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it's an army barracks.
But surely you want to be keeping an eye on people like this. If they're just coming into your country, what's the point in even having borders in the first place?
After that list, I mean,
yeah,
how many of them were asylum seekers, huh?
Exactly. And you want to be keeping an eye on these people. They could just go missing before their asylum claim has been evaluated, and they have to be deported. It makes sense to keep people under lock and key, so I don't understand why they're not doing that in the first place. And of course we had the thing where they were putting people in hotels, which I'll get onto later.
But it doesn't seem they were necessarily even under lock and key. There was just a gate they had to go through.
Well, there were security guards there, but
but you could leave.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they would be like, halt, you can't leave the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you could go out if you wanted to, but like, this is where you are.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them protesting outside the place, and presumably they didn't have to ask the guards for permission.
No.
So.
And supposedly this ruling as well could actually lead to damage claims against the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, which is just ridiculous that, you know, she's got to provide damages to these asylum seekers. So if we actually have a look at some of the images I found of the barracks, there they are, playing football in the courtyard.
It's pure oppression right there.
Yeah, I mean, uninhabitable. Maybe they're on about the weather, just like, oh, it rains here too much. And then we have a look at the next one as well. Here are the actual buildings themselves, you know, your standard military barracks. It's not like there are holes in the roof and, you know, falling apart. They still look fine. And final one, that's the facilities. Okay, I mean, I know I wouldn't be particularly happy living there. But if
you were a refugee after a British Civil War?
Yeah. I mean, I'd take what I could get. I mean, they've got curtains, they've got privacy, they've got walls. It's better than having nothing whatsoever.
It's better than being shot at.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see why people would think, okay, this doesn't look great, but at the same time, if they truly are the asylum seekers that they claim to be, this would still be better, surely. So, on February the 14th, as you... Oh, no, it's February. 14 asylum seekers, were arrested following a fire at the barracks. And then you can see one of the buildings there basically destroyed. And why did this happen? Well, was it just a mistake where they were cooking and they accidentally burnt the whole thing down? Yeah, it's just so bad. Oh, wait, no. Actually, it turned out that they vandalised the facility. So supposedly a fire broke out, and they also vandalised the on-site canteen where they get their food, and they smashed loads of windows.
They get all this for free, as you can see the chat screaming about. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were they were not happy with the free stuff that we provided for them, the British taxpayer. So they burnt it down. They said it wasn't good enough for us asylum seekers. It's ridiculous.
But it's also irritating because the previous situation was, of course, that anyone who hopped across the border was getting sent to, what was it, like 4-star hotels until Nigel Farage embarrassed the government, and then that stopped and they started sending them to these barracks. So I gotta wonder whether they were like, oh, I'm expecting a 4-star hotel, let's jump over, and then they went over and then they got sent to the barracks and they're like, this isn't a 4-star hotel.
I think there is a certain element of that, as we'll get onto in a second. There are some quotes by one of the border enforcers, and they're saying like they were impetuous and demanding people give them better accommodation. But
where's my free biscuits?
You
do actually get free biscuits in the canteen, so.
So one of the people prosecuted for the fire was 31-year-old Mohammed A. He was one of the 14 arrested for this vandalism. So, of course, religion of peace strikes again, burning down free accommodation.
I don't think this was a form of jihad. I'll give them that one.
So the police said of this, significant amount of damage was caused to one part of the site following a fire, which is believed to have been started deliberately. So yeah, I mean, confirmation there, deliberate thing.
It's not even criminally negligent arson, this is just arson.
Mm-hmm. So supposedly part of the kind of protests of the people there were in part because of 120 people staying in the barracks had tested positive for COVID out of the, I think, 300, 400 people that are there. And this actually ended up meaning that some of the protesters were not protesters, the asylum seekers were moved because of the rapidly spreading COVID.
Yeah, we didn't just detain them all and then die.
Exactly. And this is Folkestone's Conservative Council leader, David Monk, here, saying, one building has been virtually destroyed, but there is no intention to remove the people from the site. And he was actually complaining about this, like, this is atrocious. So yeah, Conservative.
What do you mean by complaining? Complaining of the conditions?
Yes, exactly.
So he was siding with the leftists here.
He wants to put them up in hotels, yeah.
I want 4-star hotels for these poor refugees. These what is it, 99% men. I mean, I'm yet to see a woman, so I'm just saying that there might exist with that 99% instead of 100.
I think there were a few families there, but mostly
I'd like to see
men,
pictures.
Young men, yeah.
So
the migrant charity Care for Calais accused the government of deliberately housing them in unacceptable conditions as not to undermine public confidence in the asylum system. I think public confidence in the asylum system has already been undermined.
It's undermined by you, Care for Calais. Like, I'm going to get annoyed because I used to live in Canterbury and I know the leftist scum who organise it in Kent. And they're all very incestuous, of course, in the fact that it's all the same organisation. Certain new faces for it. And it's just people who are just like, yeah, more migration, no borders whatsoever. So their opinion on this is absolutely worthless. It's not to be taken seriously in the slightest.
Absolutely. So if we look at a tweet from Care for Calais, they actually reveal something that's quite interesting. So, you know, they were complaining about the facilities. Well, they actually say that the Napier Barracks residents have been without adequate healthcare, mental health support and COVID safety for months. Since the fire in the building 2 days ago, they've had no heating, electricity or communication from those who should care for them. So they destroyed their own infrastructure.
Since I burnt down my house, I haven't been able to cook food in my house. I haven't been able to take a lovely bath.
I mean, what on earth are
my bookcase is gone too.
I mean, how quickly do they think that you can just pop infrastructure out of nowhere? Just like, yeah, they burnt it down. Oh, well, we're just going to immediately give them some more. That sends a good message.
I just love it. Like, since I smashed up my car, I can't drive it. Yeah, I know. Whose fault is that?
Oh, dear. So, there was also protests outside.
The chat's like, who did this? Who?
So a Guardian journalist documented some of the protests outside, who are the real enablers of this. So they say protesters have today, this was quite a while ago, targeted Napier Barracks, the UK Home Office's widely condemned refugee camp on the military land in Folkestone, as COVID outbreak continues to spread among asylum seekers held there. Those behind the action say they are highlighting human rights violations, and then they are spreading fake blood outside.
These are the people who invite the migrants, lie to them, tell them that our streets are paved with gold and they'll get lovely 4-star hotels. Sometimes they do, obviously. And then you can come here, you must come here. And then when they do, and the government's like, we'll just put them in reasonable housing instead of a 4-star hotel for once, and then they'll campaign and argue about how horrible this is because their fundamental goal is no borders, and they will tell you this themselves. They think borders are racist.
Well, it's funny you should say that. We can find out. The activists here wrote a letter about what they were actually campaigning against. It's ridiculous. So if you'd actually go to just the main part there, John. Thank you. So they say activists take radical action at Napier Barracks. They also talk about themselves in the third person for some reason.
They use the royal pronoun.
Yeah, of course. So activists dressed in white suits and masks throw buckets of fake blood through the gates of Napier Barracks to send a clear message to Priti Patel and the Home Office. Close Napier camp or there'll be blood on your hands. I mean, is that a threat?
We're going to kill all the migrants. I mean, that's some new age, like, anti-border terrorism there, isn't it? Like, free the migrants or we're going to kill them all. Okay. All right, guys.
This letter is just ridiculous. I'm not going to read too much of it because I don't want to give it any more publicity than it deserves because they're just complaining how it's racist, evil, blah, 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 blah. You've heard it all before.
Yes, there's free housing with free food and a free canteen and a free fucking sports facilities. Yeah, that's all racism there.
The British taxpayer pays for it all, but never mind, it's racist. So, if we can move on to another thing by The Guardian, I'm really overrepresenting them here today, but it's good to use left-wingers sources when they're making your points for you. So they say, small boats carrying migrants across the channel hits record levels in May. So at the minute, there are more migrant boats than ever before. So in May, 568 migrants crossed the channel in the last 4 days of the month, which is a huge number of people.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Come on, Care for Calais. Whose fault is that? Why are there so many activists for no borders on the other side telling them, yeah, come, you should be able to come to the UK, helping them out? Why, instead, do you not have activists over there telling them, don't come, we don't have the facilities. Stay in France, it's safe.
Yes, and we'll find out that France is taking a much more based approach here. So they actually, supposedly the situation in Calais is unspeakable, which is driving lots of the migrants across.
Well, Calais' not that bad.
I mean,
I've been there, it's all right.
I have been to France, so I kind of know what they mean.
I've been to Calais, it's fine.
So apparently in the first 4 months of 2021, the number of crossings was at just over 2,000, which was more than double that of 2020, which was the previous record year. Home Office staff are apparently working 20-hour shifts to provide processing of all the migrants that are coming across. And a Home Office spokesperson said that a relatively new development in the last few weeks is for Vietnamese, not classically a nationality that seek asylum, using small boats rather than lorries.
Wow.
So yeah, we're getting migrants from Vietnam.
Yeah, I didn't know we had
currently at war.
I think we had a border with Vietnam as well, don't we?
Oh yeah, it's just down the road, isn't it?
I mean, how many countries do you have to walk through from Vietnam before you get to the UK?
They are not asylum seekers. There's no war going on.
No.
I mean,
well, you can argue from the communist government, but then I've got to argue, well, how many countries did you get to before you came here? I mean, for starters, France. I mean, France, not a country that is also run by, the Communist Party, as far as I'm aware. So that would also be a suitable place to claim asylum if you are a real asylum seeker and not just a chancer. Because so many times, as we've covered, there have been people who have been chancers, got to France, claimed asylum, lost it because they're a clear chancer, then be like, right, I'll try in the UK. And then ended up dying in the Channel.
Most of the people who are getting to the UK aren't really real asylum seekers, it seems like, because most of the time they're not from countries that have any problems, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, what was it? People from, like, Iran. I mean, sure. I don't blame you wanting to leave Iran, but
you've taken a plane to Serbia, and then you've walked through Croatia, you've walked through Austria, Germany, got to France, and then came here. It's like, you could have stopped anywhere on the way there. It's not criminal to be gay in Germany.
You're not really an asylum seeker if you're able to travel halfway around the world. I think that's a fair statement. So supposedly the situation in Calais is what's driving most of the people there. It's mainly people who are already in France, and supposedly they say that there continues to be a ban on distribution on food in some parts of the town of Calais, and actions by the police against migrants are unrelenting. In parts of Calais, areas of wasteland have been stripped bare of trees and scrubs so that people cannot even erect tents to sleep in. We are seeing people sleeping outside on the bare tarmac, in disused petrol stations and behind derelict shops. It's entirely understandable that it would take a great risk to escape. In these desperate cases, the lack of safe alternative pathways is making a dangerous trip in an unsuitable boat the only viable alternative.
Liars. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I watched the parliamentary debate on this. I've seen every Labour MP under the sun say that why are there no alternatives? There are. We take in thousands of refugees from around the world every single year who are sincere because we take them from the place next door to where the conflict is. We process them and then we fly them out here. There is no alternative pathway. You're just a chancer.
They don't make it to Calais and just like, oh, actually, we're just going to stay here for a little while. Never mind that it's, the closest place to cross into the UK. So the whole reason for them being there in the first place is to cross into the UK. Let's not beat around the bush here. It's obvious. Like, it's ridiculous that they're saying, oh, well, we're going to claim asylum in France, but we were just going to...
Yeah, but I failed because I'm a liar. No, I'll go to the UK then. Like,
yeah,
okay.
There's no reason for them to be in Calais other than to get into the UK.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like France is a small country. And then it's just going to be like, oh, we just happen to be here in
But
Calais.
also, it's not bordered by totalitarian dictatorships. Like, you could go to Switzerland, you could go to Belgium, you could go to Luxembourg, you could go to Germany, you could go to Spain, you can go to Andorra and claim there. All of them have processes for refugees as well, but you're not going to be accepted. Because you're a liar.
Exactly. So, the actual next article here from Telegraph kind of highlights the problem even more. So they say there are record numbers of legal migrants expected to move quickly to actual accommodation as well. So they're being put up in hotels again, it seems.
So thanks to this judge saying that, there's a fence, therefore it's inhumane. Mm-hmm. That means the legally the barracks have to be shut down now, and everyone has to be moved back to these 4-star hotels, which then sends the message to the rest of the migrants, hey, we'll give you a 4-star hotel. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thanks, Judge.
Yeah, because previously I think it was like 90 hotels were being used, and the government, the Home Office in particular, had a £4 billion 10-year contract with hotel companies to house these migrants. So it's $4 billion. That's how much it's costing you to house these people who are getting into the country illegally.
And then sometimes just killing people afterwards, as we saw on the list of terrorists.
Burning down the facilities, and they're not... The vast majority are not actual...
They're welcome.
...asylum seekers.
Lawrence Southern, not welcome.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? So anyway, I'll move on from that.
Sorry, it makes me mad. I've made like a couple of videos about this myself, or I really can't stand the opposition on this, because you've got the Conservatives, and the Conservatives, at least the MPs, when I see them arguing, are being based on this, in which they come out and say that this is obvious bollocks. Like, these people are obviously asylum shoppers. They are not people who are here sincerely to claim asylum, because you can see it in their actions, the fact that they walk through multiple safe countries. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the Labour, Green Party, Lib Dems, SNP, I mean, you name them, any MP on the opposition, they all parroted the same phrase, that there is no alternative pathways. And then the Minister for Immigration Enforcement was just like, yeah, there's this one, and we've taken thousands every single year from each one of these schemes. What do you want? Like,
they can't be doing anymore, can they?
But also, if there's no alternatives, where did these asylum seekers come from? Mm-hmm. The ones that we've just imported, like 2,000 people from around the world, people from North Korea or China or whatnot, who are fleeing the government. Where do they come from if that scheme doesn't exist? I mean, you're just liars. I can't stand them on this issue.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.